Oh, hey, we're live, man. That was quick. Episode 114. This Life in Tech. I'm Jason.
Back in the bend.
Ken.
Now, listen, let me explain something to you assholes. When I text you,
here we go,
as a group, and I say, do you guys want to do this today? You both say yes. You don't need to text me and ask me if we're doing it. Probably what's going on is I've goofed up, I've made a mistake, or there's a technical difficulty, which otherwise I'm in the process of fixing, which means when you text me and I have to respond to you, it's going to take longer to fix it.
So hold on. What you're trying to say is you were having problems with the technology.
That is correct. Okay. That's exactly what I'm saying.
And it's on record that you goofed up.
I don't know that I goofed up. To be fair, I was having issues. The issues weren't a result of a mistake I made.
Hey, I'm not that kind of doctor to deal with those kind of issues you're having.
Yeah, I know. Look, man, I've long since left MIS. I don't really want to install operating systems. I don't want to configure stuff. You know what I mean? But dude, I got this sweet HP Envy 27-inch all-in-one with a touchscreen. This thing is glorious.
I think I saw one of those the other day. I was at Best Buy.
Dude, I picked it up for a steal about a couple months ago, a month and a half ago.
The screen looks really good on those.
Oh, dude, it's sexy.
So I've got one of the Dell Studios, the Surface Studio. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely love it.
I wanted an all-in-one because I'm really tired of having a lot of clutter and desk space taken up and floor space. And I was looking at, I don't want an iMac. Fuck, dude, it's just, if it was touchscreen, I'd think about it. But without a touchscreen, I'm not spending that money on something like that.
I got to tell you that Apple, I think, is really falling short on not having Mac OS with a touchscreen. Because I would probably, like, if they had a 2-in-1 or the iMac was touchscreen, same thing. I mean, it would make life so much simpler. Because that's one. I mean, the Microsoft operating system. It's still, regardless of the improvements with Windows 10, even in their most current update that's going to be released. And I've been looking at it in the beta side. It's still clunky. I mean, the registry holds them back. It takes too long to boot up, and there's too many updates that I have to deal with on a continuous basis because of the amount. It's still, while Microsoft's doing better, the vulnerabilities are still a tremendous amount. And it doesn't surprise me. It's still the #1 operating system in the world. More users are using it. But Apple is falling short by not having that touchscreen because I'd be using it.
It wouldn't, if any of the iMacs were touchscreen, it wouldn't even have been a thought for me to get one. But since they're not, and in particular, in case anybody's curious, why I was interested in getting a touchscreen all-in-one is because some of the experiments I've been working on require touch. And so, I mean, I need a touchscreen, right? I mean, it makes perfect sense. If I'm measuring how fast you can raise an arm and touch something on the screen, I kind of need something you can touch and activate or control. So anyway, and so then it was down to a Surface Studio, a couple different brands like Lenovo has a nice all-in-one, so forth and so on. And man,
you would buy a Lenovo?
I would think about it, man. I mean, I got one in the lab at Capitol.
Would you buy a Huawei?
This is an interesting conversation. I think I would. I think I would.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. I think I would buy a Huawei by brand name or a Xiaomi because really,
is that how you pronounce it? That's the one that's XAOMI.
I don't speak Mandarin, dude. I don't know. That's my best guess.
Interesting.
How would you pronounce it?
Oh, I thought
it's actually really easy to pronounce. It's called something I'll never buy.
Well, like I was having this debate with Bonnie, and you guys tell me what you think. Okay, so let's assume, for the sake of argument, and I think it's a safe assumption, that Huawei name brand devices or Huawei produced devices are compromised from the chipset up. Okay. Mm-hmm. Why do we not think Foxconn is?
Assumption. Foxconn's the same thing.
Well, right. Well, particularly because it's in China and it's Chinese.
Yeah.
So does it really matter what device you're buying? Okay, so let me restate, because that's a bad way to state it, which is part of my problem with this. It's just like the privacy argument and spying that you were talking about, the Stingray devices. I don't think it's a productive conversation to talk about are they and what should we do about them doing it. I think the better conversation is what can we do to make it better so that what they're doing is successful whilst minimizing the negative side effects, which is what we don't want.
So to minimize effects on a Stingray, you basically have to not collect every single phone call coming into that cell.
Why?
Stingray. That's the only way to minimize it, because it's Fourth Amendment right. And that's exactly what the court has found with those Stingray devices. You're siphoning all the innocent down with the guilty. And that's too broad. You can't get a warrant for something like that. That's too broad. And that's what the court has said.
I think the court's
good thing about it, I'm not exactly sure where I sit yet, but there's something that very interesting about a Stingray device. People have to remember in that it typically is using a downgrade attack, right? On 4G, without finding specific vulnerabilities within that product's chipset and how it interprets, you don't, the whole idea is when you're perpetrating yourself as a tower, you want to downgrade them to 2G or even 3G in order to be able to provide that, true data collection. Otherwise, you're just seeing the basically the outside of the envelope source and destination phone numbers, right?
Right.
Okay. So Stingrays, this is why they go after the SS7 network, to where then they can actually push stuff to your phone by taking over as a mobile operator, or they need Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, anyone like that to be able to push stuff to it, which is why the whole aspect of the Gemalto SIM card exploit that happened in 2015 was so detrimental to anyone using a Gemalto SIM card. But getting back to your aspect of Foxconn, it depends with Foxconn. Are they the manufacturer or are they just the assembler? If they're the assembler and you have someone there and you're doing just-in-time delivery, the window of opportunity to compromise said components.
That's a great
I agree.
Point.
So then we can ask
sourcing the parts.
Exactly, because then we can ask a deeper question: where are those parts sourced from? I would argue that it's largely irrelevant. And so this is my argument, like with the Stingray devices too. We can agree that there's circumstances in which it's desirable to use this technology, correct?
Mm-hmm. Use what technology? The Stingray?
Let's classify it just as spying technology. Whether it's a Stingray, a compromised IC, it doesn't matter. There's cases in which spying is desirable.
Spying is desirable. Yes, there's at least one use case for when spying is desirable.
Okay.
As a nation state that is spying on another nation state, that's about it.
Okay, so if there's cases, or at least one case in which spying is desirable, isn't it better to argue and debate the integrity of the technology and the data it's consuming and outputting than it is to debate the presence of the technology itself? I would argue it is. And I think that's the problem.
All right, repeat the premise again.
If there's at least one use case in which this spying technology is desirable, doesn't it make sense to debate the integrity of the technology rather than the presence of the technology?
Integrity of the
okay, so let me give you an example.
Presence exists regardless. So
exactly. Yes.
That's where you're going. There's no use in debating the presence because it exists.
Right.
Okay. Got it.
Right. So this is my argument, like with Facebook. Beyond, I actually think Facebook is a good, albeit flawed, intermediary step towards something better. Okay. Beyond that, we know for a fact that they collect an enormous volume of data and they resell it. and I don't think it's beneficial to debate whether that's good or bad. I think the debate that's meaningful is why don't we have transparency and access to that so that we can actually help make it better?
What would you improve?
Society.
Too large. You need a smaller.
I don't think so. I understand what you're saying. I don't think it is, man. I really don't think it's too broad. I mean, you can narrow it down to specific elements of society. Like, I have particular interests, so that's what I would gravitate towards. But I think it can be that powerful, and I think that's that's the benefit of it as a representative intermediary technology platform. Same thing as stingrays, but in a microcosm. Stingrays present an intermediary step towards something. Well, look at what China's doing with their facial recognition system. I actually think it's a good thing.
The social rating system.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not so opposed to that aspect, mainly because I no longer look at that as an invasion of privacy because you're out in public. And once you're out in public, the expectation of privacy is extremely low. So anything you're doing out there is fine. I mean, you take that risk. This is why I have zero issues of anything that's happening on social media, because you are in essence in the public purview, and where the domain of who owns what, or your expectation of it being private, is minimized. When you're on a phone conversation and law enforcement is involved, I tend to take a different view because of the government's access and it being politicized to where I just want to make people look bad, or the district attorney, which is a political appointee or sometimes even voted in, or a judge, because you were going to run for a judge. So, right. So,
oh my God.
Hey, I've got X amount of convictions. So if I utilize said tool in a political motivation, then in which is possible, that's where I want to limit the aspect of there being an impartial third party, supposed to be a court, to sign off on that warrant, and the scope is supposed to be small, not broad, because they have provided sufficient, not necessarily evidence just yet, but
probable cause.
There's a probability that something nefarious has gone on, and they need to investigate further. The Stingray collects everything, and when is it going to be where they're talking about, they're going to go, oh, I'm going to go and give you a ticket because I know you were going 105 miles an hour the other day. Well, too bad you didn't catch me. But they're able to see it. I mean, that's kind of the aspects of where the limitations that I see, because that's off the top of my head. I'm sure I'll come up with other ones later.
All right, Ken, you want to go, or you want me to pause it?
No, go ahead.
So here's my rebuttal to that. I agree with you, and that's the society we live in now. When I imagine the society that I want us to live in, I think it's misguided to debate the abuse to the implementation or consumption of the information, because that has nothing to do with the technology itself or the information it's actually producing. So rather than limit the technology and limit the information, personally, my argument is I would rather look at how to change us so that we don't do that stupid shit. Because you're right, that's exactly what does happen. And there's plenty of evidence that happens right now. Look,
so in your vision of society, is there a speed limit?
No, because cars won't speed.
Yeah, that's actually a really good answer.
Don't like either of those then.
Well, so you could see. Here's the thing with that. with that, you could argue that there is. It's just not going to be necessary to have law enforcement enforce it. I mean, the cars themselves, individually and collectively, can enforce it.
Well, did we talk about this? About that new Volvo that's coming out?
Yeah, that's why. Yeah. That's another reason why I'm not going to buy a Volvo. Limiting my capability of going however fast I choose to go is where I draw the line.
Look, so like here's my technical argument for that. Let's say pseudo-technical, because it's not engineering technical. Is I don't think there should be a manufacturer cap on the rate of travel. So like I don't think the car should be limited to only a certain top speed. Okay. I think the algorithm could limit its operation, the vehicle's operation, to what is a safe speed given its environmental factors. So there shouldn't be a cap on it. Because why can't you go 300 miles an hour as long as you're operating within a safe tolerance? Of course you can. We do it all the time in different travel modes. We just don't do it on a 2D surface because it's fucking dangerous because of the way people drive. But once you remove that and the algorithm's doing it, it can operate at that rate of travel easily. I guess. I mean, why couldn't it?
Hey,
so go as fast as you want. Who cares?
Your Tesla won't be able to go that fast because it's a horrible piece of engineering.
Oh my gosh.
It'll fall apart.
Dude, what does the Roadster do in its base? The new Roadster in its base mode, I think it does 0 to 60 in like 2.5 seconds.
Dude, that thing is beautiful.
That's fast, dude.
I mean, that's faster than my dad.
I'd buy the Porsche one regardless. Anything even if someone gave me a Tesla, I would just sell it. There's no way. It's a death trap.
Oh my God, man. So anyway, that's my argument. Is I think the meaningful debate going forward is in the algorithm and the transparency and access to the information that results from the algorithm, not in the implementation of the algorithm.
Okay, so then let's flip this conversation. Let's talk about the Facebook thing.
Mm-hmm.
The nudes.
See, this is what's so funny to me, man, is we all, and I'm like you too, I'm not exempting myself from this, we all assume it means nudes. But it doesn't.
No, but that's not where I first went. We talked about this briefly on Sunday. This is where I can control the narrative. I have I'm Conor McGregor over the weekend. The first thing I do is I submit that video first, and I flag it as being private, and then it will never get posted on Facebook.
Right. And so
I don't care about the nudes. I want to control the narrative.
Right. And you and just about everybody else that has any sense and interest in power. Right. And so this is part of the human condition that I think has to be modified.
Let's correct that. I'm interested in keeping my power and expanding it, not getting it.
Well, okay. So let me restate. Getting more is what I meant.
Okay. All right.
Not getting some.
Just so we're clear. Just like we talked about, the other day about what would be one thing you'd have in a computer science class? A time machine. I mean, come on.
Oh my God.
And then I would go back and I would make sure those stupid AirPods were never invented.
Oh my God. I have a really nasty comment right now, but I've been trying to better myself.
Just let it go.
I've been trying to better myself. No, I've been trying to better myself.
The best way to better yourself is to not hold back. In Jason's new society, it's all about getting it out in the open.
That's right. Just say it.
Okay. We're adults. So would that time machine include you making sure that you got the genetics for having a full head of hair?
Maybe, but I still have a full head of hair.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's still there. Though I wish it would be much better. I would much rather there actually have something to where I can go and just shave my head bald with no problem. Zero. But it just sounds like work.
It is. Dude, I got to shave like twice a day. It's work.
Yeah.
That's on top of wrestling this caterpillar, feeding it. Anyway, by the way, that's a good segue. Update, because we got another 5K race for April. I am a quarter mile faster within the same time period than I was the last time we were training. And the cold weather advantage is working out, dude. I got to get this in quick because it's starting to heat up. Because we ran yesterday and I smoked her. Smoked her, dude.
She's sandbagging you again.
She thinks she, but I didn't hold back this time. Dude, gone. She had to scream at the top of her lungs to tell me when the interval was over. Because that's how far away it was. Bye.
She's just waiting. She's giving you, she's literally letting you go into this trap. And then all of a sudden, you're going to pop a hammy. And she's like, it's still on. Like, don't pull out for injury.
let me give you oh shit, I forgot to monitor chat. Hold on while I do this. If I was her, this is what I would be doing, and I bet she is, man. She knows how I am. If she's playing the long game, what she's doing, which is what I would do right now, is get me to overtrain because I'll burn myself out. If she's playing the long, oh, there we go. All right. So she knows now I'll go real fast because I know she's sandbagging.
Dude,
I'll burn myself out. And now
your wife is so awesome.
Dude, she's crafty, man. Crafty.
She is.
Anyway,
No,
I forgot to pull up the chat. So I got
it is the current reigning and defending Pittman family champion. Don't ever underestimate the power of the belt.
That's right, man. Well, she has momentum. No pun intended. Anyway, where were we?
Or maybe she's going to take a dive just to set it up for the trilogy match.
Oh, so there could be part 3.
Yeah, I know what she's been doing too, man. Did I tell you guys we got a puppy?
No.
Yeah, we got a new dog. We got a beagle. And so
that's right. No, you did mention that on Sunday.
Yeah. So because I get up way early to let the girls sleep in, I bring the dog out to my office with me. And listen, man, I've trained the dogs. It ain't no problem for me. That dog comes in here, goofs around for 30 seconds, then lays down and takes a nap. And she doesn't wake up until I'm ready to leave. We got a routine, but I think what happened was Mrs. Pittman thought this dog would keep me, let's say, occupied so that I wouldn't be getting work done, which would frustrate me and get me angry and waste energy. I think that's what she was up to.
She is crafty.
She is.
Golly.
She is. I'm telling you, she's got something planned. And
I've met her once, and I never thought that. That's amazing.
You wouldn't. Listen, bro, I'm married to her. I didn't think it either until it happened. Sweet Southern girl, and then she sandbagged me for a 5K, man. Wow. With nothing on the line. That's the thing, is there was nothing on the line now there is, though.
No,
now
there was all that was
it's called pride.
You thought there was nothing on the line, and she always knew there was.
That's right. Hey, I must have been occupied with getting the fifth, because I'm the 5-time. But listen, man, she brought it. An army and a crate full of steroids. She brought it. What are you going to do?
Hey,
we're going to have a rematch.
Maybe in all fairness, we should go ahead and implement some type of USADA drug testing just to make sure.
Well, I'm telling you, man, dude, I took a week off cycling because my knee's been bothering me, and I've been like doubling my yoga output to try and stretch this leg out to get the pressure off my knee because I can't not train.
Oh man, that's the way it is for golf. If I hurt myself and I have to take a couple of days off, it drives me nuts. Not to be able to go hit. Oh, getting injury, getting older.
Whew. Yeah, man.
Well, anyway. That's a big reason why I don't go back and play ball, because I know that it doesn't matter if it's basketball, baseball, softball. I know if I do, I only know how to play one way.
Reckless.
It was never reckless.
I thought you were going to say
like reckless abandon, like you go all out.
Well, yeah, I only know how to play 100% of the time, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
So, no shooting and golf. Martial arts, though I have thought about going back and doing full contact martial arts again. That's just fast twitch. I have thought about that, or competing like in push hands, which is more closer to like standing wrestling, and getting off balance.
I would do push hands. I wouldn't do full contact, man. You don't want to be getting hit in the head.
What makes you think I'm gonna get hit? I'm still fast. I still got it.
Calm down, Neo.
Wow. I'd be angry too if I had an iPhone.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, where were we in that damn privacy debate?
Now your daughter's picture is forever on the internet because you weren't taking proper precautions, Ken.
She'll be all right.
Oh yeah, we were talking about Facebook and uploading the photos.
Yeah, so I know it's not full nudes, but here's my issue with it is Facebook has garnered zero trust, right? They have not done anything right in the past few years, and
why do you think they have zero trust?
Well, because their last quarterly reports have been mentioning everybody leaving the platform. They've had breaches. They've made some comments online about how things are working internally that shouldn't be. And I just, even
go back to the users for a moment. How do you know the users that have left weren't the fake accounts?
because they specifically say it in their quarterly account. People closed accounts.
So they're saying that people took action.
Yeah.
Not that they closed them. I didn't read the quarter report.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know if Jason, let's just say if it's a bikini or and with a girl, or swim trunks for a man, and you upload those, I just have, in my personal opinion, no trust of Facebook that someone's not looking at those and that they're not going to get exposed. And let's just say, even if it is clothed, let's just take the nudes completely out of situation. I just don't trust them. I don't think they're a trustworthy organization. I don't think the idea is bad, but there has to be a level of trust between the user and the company. And I don't think Facebook's the one that has been on top of that trust.
I wouldn't debate that Facebook has perhaps serious flaws in its implementation right now. Here's what I would argue, though. I would argue that as a platform, it doesn't require trust. And I think that's a mistake we have in our thinking, that somehow it requires trust to use properly or be used properly. I don't think that's its intention nor its implementation, which is part of the friction with society. Okay, so I upload a photo. It doesn't matter what's in it, right?
Sure.
Where does trust come into the picture, no pun intended again, such that I can make a decision to upload or not upload? Why aren't I just uploading to put that information into the information sphere, which is my argument.
Okay, so, but I think that's a different, I see where you're going, but I think that question and that comment are different than the ones where they're saying, hey, let's have people send things in and that way we can keep an eye on things. Sure. Then with you and I and Dan maybe like taking a picture out on the beers for Friday night, we don't mind. That's okay. But I think Facebook's asking you to send those in, and that's where I don't think that you have to trust them to basically make sure no one sees those photos.
Right. Well, and real quick, just let me say this so I don't forget. Sorry, hold on. And I think that's a reaction to a societal pressure that's inappropriate. And this is, again, where if I were Mark Zuckerberg, I would tell everybody to go fuck themselves. You're absolutely looking at it wrong and using it wrong.
All right, so I look at it slightly different because I actually have the same amount of benefit if I trust you 100% or 0%, because I know where you stand and I know how to utilize that particular instrument or person. So the fact that I know that I may not be able to trust Facebook is just as important as if I believed I could. It's the ones that are in the gray areas. When we start getting that closer to the 50% mark is where the ones to where, now I don't know, because you don't know what way they're going to move based on a particular event. I know what Facebook is going to do. So what can I do to utilize that instrument to my benefit? And that's where that's the path that I went. If I was Conor McGregor on whatever that day that happened, I'm utilizing Facebook for that right away. And I want to find more tools that are like that so I can control the narrative. That's just the way in which I look at things. And I don't have Facebook any longer.
I don't either.
But I debate going back and having a Facebook because there's something like this. My photos are already out there. You can find it all over the place. So I want to be able to control my narrative as much as I possibly can.
Okay, so let's.
That's
okay,
how
so
I see it.
I see, and I think that's a great point. So let's say,
of course it is.
We all have kids. So let's say we take pictures of our kids and we say, look, we want to make sure that when these pictures get loaded up to Facebook, Facebook will essentially block them. Let's just say that. So do you trust Facebook if you uploaded those photos that they'll do what they're offering and what they're saying?
So at a minimum, I would.
Because you're trying to control the narrative.
Right. So at a minimum, what I would want is to see if all of a sudden any of my kids are being posted by themselves or if someone else is posting it. So the aspect that I would get a notification, that's the benefit that I look at. I don't know what they may do with that photo. And let's say they're going to take the most nefarious things possible. But this is what we absolutely know, that there is a rise of kids, even though they're not using Facebook anymore, but let's say they buy Snapchat, or they're doing this through Instagram or WhatsApp. Kids that are under 18 are exchanging in more nude photos than typically adults do. And that is still the distribution and collection of child pornography. And if I could get a hold of that information first and correct that prior to a legal event occurring, benefit 100%.
Absolutely.
Right?
I agree with that.
And that's how I would use that to correct a situation, because it's going to happen. I'm not foolish enough. I'm pretty sure if I was under 18 back in high school again, it would be going on.
Sure.
So that's how I would use it, because I know Facebook is going to use it for negative effect in some way, probably because of their history. But so too is Microsoft. So too is Google.
Sure.
I think
IBM was caught doing it.
Absolutely.
With their AI imaging program a week ago.
Absolutely. So knowing where they stand, how can I use that instrument to benefit my own agenda? Those are the ways in which I think about it.
You got 2 minutes left, brother.
Yeah.
So any final remarks? Here's my remark. I don't think we should break them up. I think we should federalize them.
You want to make them part of the government?
Yep. I want to make them the government.
Oh, the government. I think the caterpillar might have bit you a couple of times.
Yeah.
Is starting to get to you. I'll see if I can. No promises.
Ken, final remarks?
No, I'm good. I thought this was a really good discussion today. It's interesting. That's why I like coming on here, hearing everybody's perspective. Dan's controlling the narrative is not something I honestly have thought of. So that was a good point. Something to think about. But I'll still never have a Facebook account. That's my final word.
But you have an Apple account.
And you have a Twitter account.
I do have a Twitter account. But that's to follow you guys and my favorite golfers. So,
and Gmail.
Yeah, that I have no choice on. That's work.
It's always a choice.
That's right.
Yeah. Do I want a job or not?
No, you can get a job elsewhere.
Yeah. Man, there's so many people moving over to Gmail now. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I have no problem with it. I have Gmail for almost everything. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a good day. Have a good week.
You too.
We on for Sunday, bro?
You know it.
All right. 1:15 on Sunday, my friends. Have a good one. Take care.
Peace. Be excellent to one another.
Bye.
Bye.